Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of From Average to Savage. This is your host, Jose Vivanco, and today we'll be talking about the magic mushrooms. I'm not talking about the psychedelic ones, the ones that make you see funny things and, act all weird and stuff. I'm talking about the medicinal ones, the ones that have a lot of influence in our well being and that can help you out with so many different things, from managing stress to helping you sleep, to improve your immune system. There's just so many benefits to mushrooms, especially the medicinal ones, that people just take for granted and they don't even know about it. And that's why I'm doing today's episode on them, so you guys have better knowledge and take advantage of all of these benefits that we can get from them. So let's start it off with, what are mushrooms? Okay, so you see them on Super Mario and stuff. You see them all over the place, and a lot of people, believe it or not, don't really know what mushrooms are. Okay, so just so you guys know, they're not a plant or vegetables like a lot of people seem to think that they are. They're part of the fungi or fungi, depending on what part of the world you are, kingdom, which means that there's a lot of diversity. So you can find all sorts of mushrooms, obviously, or fungi, some that would harm you, some that will make you see things, and some that will benefit you. And those are, like I said, those are the ones that we're going to be focusing on today's episode. So just a little bit of a background on the fungi mushroom thing. You can find about 1.5 million different kinds of mushrooms. That's a lot. That's millions, a million and a half. That's crazy. That's a crazy amount. So these fungi are very good for medicinal purposes because they're so similar with humans, and they're actually more similar to our structure than plants are, believe it or not. And that's why, like I said, that they can be used as medicine, and it makes them so effective because of that reason. So you find fungi on about 40% of the pharmaceuticals that we're using right now. They have fungi in them. 10 out of 20 out of the best-selling pharmaceuticals actually use fungi. That's 10 out of 20 out of the top pharmaceuticals that we use. That's a huge number, and I can guarantee you that most of you guys had no idea about this. So how similar are we? I can mention to you that we're similar, but obviously I gotta throw in some scientific facts in the background, so it doesn't just sound like I'm a mushroom lover and just saying it for the sake of saying it. But there has been studies that have shown that we share 30 to 50% of our DNA with fungi. How crazy is that? But that's not even everything. 80 to 85% of our ribosomal DNA, which is the DNA sequence that makes the code for our ribosomal RNA, which is the component of the ribosome that is essential for protein synthesis. So you can already see that we have so many similarities that makes it super easy for your body to convert. There's not much of a translation between the stuff coming in from the mushrooms and your body processing them to use them for your benefits. So what do mushrooms have? Okay, so mushrooms do contain many very essential polysaccharides, which is, for those of you that don't know, that's a sugar molecule that, depending on its structure, it can be used for storing energy, sending like cellular messages, and not like text messages. They're not like, hey, what's up, what you up to, but that's how our cells do communicate with each other. So already that alone should be something that is catching your attention, how this can help with your overall health, because of how your cells, basically what makes you, is communicating with each other. They can also provide like supports for your cells and tissues and everything else in that aspect as well. So you can see how the sugars can be so important for humans, but people, they have such a terrible association with just the word sugar, because everywhere, and everybody's telling you that sugars are bad and to avoid them and to not consume them. And if you have sugar, that's super bad. And you get the pictures with how much sugar there is on like a can of pop and stuff. But this is way different from that. This is not processed sugar. This is earth grown. This is literally growing out of the earth. This is something that we've lived with for thousands of years, stuff that we have been processing from thousands of years ago. So this is very important stuff, and it's something that I'm gonna hijack this podcast for a little bit, just so people understand that the word sugar is not the enemy. You know, we need sugar, we need it, but it has to come from the right source. Now, yes, you know, if you're having sugar from, I don't know, candy, definitely, you know, not good for you. Same with pop and stuff like that. But when you're getting it from, like, you know, natural sources, like things that make the sugar, it's just nothing but benefits for your body. That's why I'm so big into eating natural things, stuff that grow on the earth, stuff that us as humans have evolved with. You know, these are things that have been around for thousands of years. So it's completely different from the sugar that you find in pop. Obviously, it's all processed and refined and stuff. So don't be afraid of mushrooms because I told you that they have sugar molecules. You know, that's good sugar, good stuff that you want in your body, not the stuff that you want to avoid. All right, let's jump back. Sorry about that. Let's just jump back into the mushroom stuff. So mushrooms also contain, well, some of them, not all of them, of course, they have this thing called adaptogens. So these foods help you adapt to stressors in various situations. So, you know, you get stressed because of your environment most of the time and stuff that's going through your head. And these adaptogens help you regulate that. It doesn't necessarily decrease or increase the stress as you need it. It just helps your body regulate it, which is very, very, very important. These things have been used for thousands of years. Again, just like the mushrooms. I mean, it's part of the mushroom, but this is something that it's been around forever. The good thing about adaptogens is that they're non-toxic, which means that they're safe to use in the long term. There is no need to cycle them like other things that you might buy in a pharmacy that might help you with stress, you know, like the happy pills and stuff, where they tell you don't take it for more than, I don't know, I've never taken this, so I don't know, but like 3 weeks and then take a month off and then take it for another 3 weeks again. There is no need to cycle these mushrooms or anything with adaptogens because it's all natural stuff and it's non-toxic, which is obviously great and is what you're looking for. What else? These guys are non-specific, which means that they're regulators. It doesn't matter what time of the day you take them. It's not like or eat them, I should say, or consume them. You don't have to say, oh, it's like 9 in the morning. I better take my stuff with adaptogens because I don't want to do this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or, you know, in the evening. It doesn't matter. You can eat them or drink them whatever time of the day that you want. So there've been plenty of research on these and they date back for a long time. So the original research done, they found these adaptogens mostly in roots, herbs, and berries. But we're gonna focus on the fungi side of things. And recently, in a study, they have been found in reishi and cordyceps, which I pretty much consume almost daily. Not so much the cordyceps now because I ran out, but I did when I had them. What's very cool about these adaptogens is that depending on where they grow, they adapt to different things. Like, that is amazing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Like, this is stuff that you expect out of humans, not necessarily a mushroom, you know, that they can adapt to their environment. So that's another reason why it's very important for you to know where your sources are when you go and buy these things. You know, you don't want to just get any stuff that was grown in a lab because obviously that's not natural to begin with, and you want to know where these come from. So if you can pick it yourself, if you know what you're doing, obviously that's a huge advantage. But at the same time, if you know what you're doing, you're probably not listening to this because you already know everything that I'm about to tell you. So some manufacturers, again, as I'm talking about you getting it from different sources other than picking them up yourself, some manufacturers will claim that they give you the mushrooms in like pill forms, but they've actually been putting them in the wrong part of the mushroom or taking it out of the wrong part of the mushroom. So the mushroom itself is made out of 3 different components. The mycelium, which is basically the roots, the fruiting body, which is what contains the nutrients and the hormones and everything else that's good for you, and that's what you see. That's the stem with the head or whatever it is that they look like. And the spores, which is what helps the mushrooms kind of spread out to other areas, right? So the mycelium will contain some of the nutrients and stuff and the hormones that you need, but they will not be at a full potential. You're more than likely to only get a percentage of the stuff that you want out of it. So always, if you can, always go for the fruiting body. Like I said, the mycelium doesn't provide the same benefits, and depending on what you're getting, if you're getting it from a pharmacy or in pill form, you want to be careful with how they're growing these things. So like when they use the mycelium instead of the fruiting body, sometimes they'll grow it on water and other times they'll grow it on grain. So the problem with growing it on grains is that increases the amount of starches in the capsule itself, because obviously the mycelium will absorb that. So if you have health issues with starch, that's not going to help you. It's not going to be good for you. At the same time, even if you don't, you're not gathering everything, and that's what you want. You want to get all of the benefits that you can. That's why I'm huge into the nature thing again. So when you're choosing what kind of pills or mushrooms you're gonna get, always prefer to use the fruiting body over the mycelium. And again, I just explained the reason for that, and it's because all the nutrients or most of the nutrients and hormones and stuff that are good for you will be sitting in that fruiting body as opposed to sitting in the mycelium. Again, be aware of how and where it was grown, because if it's grown in starches, you don't like that or you don't want that. If that's your only option, read the label, make sure that it's being grown in water as opposed to the grains. Also, like I said, look at the labels. The labels are everything. So if it tells you how it's been extracted, keep in mind that you want it to be extracted in a dual way, which is why I get my stuff from where I do. I'll explain that later on, during the episode, but you want it to be extracted by alcohol and hot water, because then you do get both the hormones and the nutrients. If you only get one extraction out of, or the other, you only get either the hormones or the nutrients, but you don't really get both. So if you can find a company that provides you the extract with both methods, that's really good. That's exactly what you're looking for, and you'll see that in the labels. Usually, if the label doesn't tell you how it was extracted, it's probably because they know that you will not want their product. A lot of these companies that do the extraction in a way that they know that is super beneficial for people, they're just gonna scream it out there. It's gonna be, the label itself is gonna be like dual extraction, woo, as opposed to a little writing in the very bottom corner like, yeah, so we couldn't do the two extractions, so you kind of got half of one, and it's all done in grains in a plant that they also grow other things. So labels are super important. I'm pretty sure that by law they have to tell you how things are done, or what's in them, and that's what you need to know. That's very important. Labels are huge, and I will talk about that another time, but that's something that you definitely need to keep in mind. Let's jump right into my favorite ones, the ones that I consume almost daily, and I don't want to give out much information as to company names and stuff, but especially because I'm not getting anything in return for this. But I cannot talk about mushrooms without speaking of foursigmatic.com. That's where I get my stuff. I got coffee with lion's mane and chaga, and I am just addicted to this. I'm not in an addiction like, oh my god, I need my coffee or I'm just gonna be grumpy all day, or like, shaking and scratching my neck type of addiction. I mean, like, I just absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. I had to get some regular coffee here the other day, and God, I cannot do it. I had like 2 sips, and I was just like, I don't like this. It tastes bad, and I'm all anxious, and I'm shaky, and I don't know what to do with myself, and I don't like this. I do not like this anymore. So now I'm pretty much addicted to this in the best possible way. I would compare it to my addiction to health and fitness, because they're right up there with how much I love them and how much I want them. And anyways, sorry, I'm again, as you can tell, I get a little emotional sometimes, and yeah, I can't even talk. I just love it so much. But anyways, uh, so Four Sigmatic makes these elixirs, or like coffee beans grounded with mushrooms that are, or are extracts that have been dual extracted, like I mentioned before, and they're just amazing, absolutely amazing. So I'm gonna go through some of these because, like I said, I consume them a lot, and I'll touch base on the coffee stuff again. But for now, we'll just mention my favorite ones, my biggest ones. So there's this mushroom called reishi. Reishi mushroom is considered to be the queen of all mushrooms. It is one of the most studied mushrooms there is right now. It does grow in trees, and it is much better to be gathered at the end of its cycle. So when it's ready to go, that doesn't mean much to you guys, I'm sure. But I just thought, I don't know, I just thought it was something important, especially for those of you that might want to be like, hey, I'm gonna go and try to find some of this. You know, you want to make sure that it's at the end of its cycle, because of the nutrients that it will be gathering. So it contains a ton of polysaccharides, you know, the sugars that we spoke of before. It's got a lot of antiviral and antibacterial properties. So this is where it helps you in your immune system. It helps you with so many different things. It's also a very natural adaptogen, which means that it helps you adapt to again, like I said before, like stressful situations, and this helps you with your sleep. Okay, it's been studied and proven that reishi will help you with your sleep. So how does that work? So because it adapts your stress levels, stress is a huge reason why you're not getting the proper sleep, right? So like cortisol, as we spoke in my second episode, it needs to be low at nighttime, and this will help you again kind of like adapt into it, so your body is creating the right amount of cortisol or lack of cortisol that you need at the time at nighttime. So yeah, it's been proven to help you with your sleep. So it does as well is it decreases your sleep latency. Sleep latency is how long it takes you to fall asleep once you've made that decision of, okay, it's bedtime, or okay, it's time to sleep, and you close your eyes. Because of all of these things that the reishi mushroom contains, it helps you fall asleep faster, and that has been proven by science and studies of how people actually fall asleep faster, and they sleep for longer after taking in some reishi at night. So what I take is these elixir that I bought from foursigmatic.com, and it's just a reishi elixir, and it's almost like a coffee, and man, it's just crazy. I cannot believe it. I don't use it every day because I just don't think that I need it. I've created a pretty good sleeping cycle for myself, so I don't need to take it every day, but it's very important to take after you've had a night where you didn't get much sleep, and you have to restart your clock, your internal clock. It works for that, but I mean, you could take it every day if you wanted to. It's just got nothing but benefits for you. Again, the antibacterial and antiviral properties alone, it's huge. That it helps you with your immune system. Like, nobody likes to be sick. I was sick a couple weeks ago, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. So we talked about the queen. Now let's jump into the king, the man of all the mushrooms. Chaga. Chaga mushrooms. They have been studied, and it has shown that the chaga, with the most benefits, grows on birch trees. Okay, again, unnecessary information for those that are not gonna go and pick their own, but for you that do want to go out and find your own mushrooms, chaga is mostly found, or the best, the ones with the most benefits are found in the birch tree. Birch. Sorry, English is my second language. So chaga has the highest amount of antioxidants gram per gram. So this will be like the top antioxidant per weight, right? Kind of like they do in the UFC when they say Mills fighter pound per pound. Kind of like that, but grams, not pounds. And instead of a fighter, it's an antioxidant. It contains melanin, which is a hormone that has beneficial properties for your eyes, nails, skin, and your hair. And it's also considered to be kind of like an internal sunblock because of the protection that it gives you for your skin. which is just incredible that you can find this in the mushroom. You know, like you never think this. When I started studying them, I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it. And also, sorry, I'm gonna go back into this, but shaga also contains bitulin, bitulinic acid, that it gathers from the birch tree, which are valuable anti-cancer compounds. Anti-cancer compounds. Okay, this is preventative stuff. You know, stuff that you want to keep in your body as well, because it's just, nobody wants to get cancer. It's a terrible disease, and when we have natural ways to kind of prevent it, I highly recommend you take them, right? So on top of that, again, it's another antiviral. It's just got really, really, really high good properties. So it's usually often used to aid in like your digestive system and prevent colon cancer. It's one of the biggest reasons why shaga is used. So shaga is also rich in minerals, and it's a natural anti-inflammatory. Not just that, it's a massive natural anti-inflammatory. So I had a bad knee injury a long time ago, and believe it or not, since I started taking these mushrooms, because my coffee has shaga in it as well, my knees have been pretty much perfect. I mean, partially torn ACLs don't just kind of go away, but the inflammation in them has gone down, and that's from experience. I don't take any pills. I don't take any Aleve or anything, Tylenol or anything like that for my joint pain, which I've had for a long time. But ever since I started taking this coffee, which is about a couple months ago, I've noticed a difference, and not just like a small difference. It's been a huge difference. I felt so much better in general, and like I just feel like I can move again, which is awesome. All right, so we've gone through the king and the queen. So now let's not talk about kings and queens anymore, but we're gonna talk about the cordyceps mushrooms. So there are different groups of different kinds of cordyceps. This mushroom, however, does not grow on trees, and it is a parasitic fungi that grows on insects. Yep, that sounds kind of gross to me, but obviously you don't get them like that. This is one of those mushrooms that you kind of don't find in the wild, and for that reason, if you want to get wild grown cordyceps, you're looking at spending thousands and thousands of dollars because of how rare they are. So this is kind of not super natural, but it's up there, and it's really really good for you. So it does give you a very strong energy boost. So I normally take these as a pre-workout instead of taking pre-workout to go to the gym. I'll make sure to have some cordyceps in me, and again, it's one of the elixirs that I got from Four Sigmatic. They're being cultivated, like I said, because the natural ones that grow on insects are way too much money. Cool things about cordyceps: so it can increase your VO2 max by up to 15%. They can increase your ATP production, which is basically your cell energy, and that's just out of a mushroom. I keep saying that, but it's just crazy to me. Cordyceps are also an adaptogen, just like the reishi, which makes it a really good food or a drink for both young people and elderly as well. So this doesn't like make you all crazy like like anything with caffeine or anything like that, but it still gives you that energy. It's good for your stress levels, and it's so natural and generally good that you can give that to kids as well as you can give it to old people, right? So because of the benefits that this has in your lungs, cordyceps are very good for respiratory issues such as asthma, and it's a natural source of energy, which is why it's used for physical performance usually. I heard a story about, one of the Olympics, this Chinese team came in and just like destroyed everybody, like just broke records all over the place. And when they asked they got tested for doping and stuff, and everything came back negative because they weren't doping. There was nothing illegal about this. There was nothing unnatural about this in a way. So when they asked the coach, that's what he said: we've been giving them cordyceps, and it's been helped in their training, and it's just it's huge. Like I said, it's my pre-workout. I personally take it as a pre-workout every time I go to the gym. So now let's talk about my main, and my favorite one of them all, lion's mane. I am obsessed with lion's mane. I use it every single time I gotta study anything, every time I gotta do a podcast and I feel the need to focus, and I will explain to you guys why. This is huge. So this is what's in my coffee. The coffee that I take usually every morning, because when I do go to work, I do want to be focused and completely be one with my tasks, as well as when I'm here doing my podcast, because they're both pretty important to me. So, anyways, back on man, I'm just giving you guys the worst example because I'm just kind of all over the place, but I'm just very excited about this. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about, that I think it's something that should be well known for everybody. And even Four Sigmatic themselves are calling this year the year of the mushroom. So you're welcome, guys, for the free advertising. So lion's mane, it's a safe nootropic. So it's an enhancer of memory and other cognitive functions. It enhances your memory. This is a mushroom that does well for your brain, which is crazy, and it's something that we need to really, really focus on more than just as much as our physical appearance. So lion's mane has the highest amount of polysaccharides out of all of the mushrooms that we've talked about so far. It contains nerve growth factors. It essentially plays these new NGFs essentially do is they play a key role in the maintenance, survival, and regeneration of neurons or nerve cells, aka brain, nerves, stuff that is very, very, very important. So this NGF gene therapy has been studied. It's a potential treatment for neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's. So this is something that has been used to in studies to help with Alzheimer's, one of the biggest issues that we have in today's society with mental disease. Lion's mane contains two key molecules. I don't want to give out too many like scientific names and stuff because A, I can't pronounce them, and B, I feel like I could confuse you guys, and it's not the intention of this podcast. But it's got these two key molecules that work together. One penetrates the blood-brain barrier, which, just so you guys know, it's a very difficult thing to do from a molecule point of view, while the other generates the regrowth of these NGFs. So this has the ability to help you with your memory, concentration, and it aids with your nervous system. So it's got so many benefits for your nerves in general. You guys can look up into the nerve growth factors and how important they are for you. And it's incredible that this mushroom, which I get in my coffee daily, can help you with all of that. It just blows my mind, and I know that I've said that a million times this episode, but it's just crazy to me. So those are my favorite ones, the ones that I get to use daily or pretty much daily. But there are so many more. There's a buttload of them, and I will be touching bases on those later on in a different episode, not today. Today I just want to focus on the main ones that I have experienced 100%, and that I can tell you that it works, and I can tell you that it helps you with so many things. I'm a very stressful person. Like I told my boss before, if you were to look up in the dictionary what stress means, you would probably find a massive picture of me throwing something at the wall or whatever. But I feel much better when I take reishi, for example, at nighttime. There's been days where I'm like just super stressed from work, super stressed from other things that I'm trying to do, plus taking care of my family. My fiance was out of town, for example, and I found myself with a lot of thoughts running through my head and a lot of stress building up, and I could just feel myself ready to not quite explode, but I could tell that I was very uncomfortable with myself. And I took some reishi, I relaxed a little bit, and it all kind of went away. And when I went to go to bed, which is something that I usually have a hard time doing when I am very stressed, or as stressed as I was before, I actually had no problems falling asleep. I just closed my eyes and I didn't even know it, and it was already the next morning. I had an absolutely amazing sleep which was unexpected. Something that even that was stressing me throughout the day. I'm like, man, today I'm not gonna sleep. I don't like the fact that she's out of town. Blah blah blah. I don't like this. I don't like that. Work is super stressful because things are not going my way. Blah blah. And you know what I mean. All of these things were building up. My worry about not having a good sleep build up on that even more, and just the Rishi just calmed me right down, relaxed me completely, and I went to sleep with absolutely no problem. So I know that these things work, and I really do enjoy telling you guys about it because it's personal experience. I'm not just telling you what I've studied from a book or whatever, videos or whatever it is that I've studied my things from. This is personal experience, which is why I get so excited about it all. Same with the lion's mane. You know, when I started taking lion's mane and I started working on this podcast, I used to have a really hard time coming up with what to say, what to do, what topics to do, and now I'm ahead by a couple weeks. You know, and it's all because I can take this lion's mane coffee and I can sit down, and it's hard to explain. It's hard to put into words. It's something that you have to experience on your own. You know, people tell you, oh yeah, I totally can concentrate 100%, but until you experience it and you realize how much more you can focus into something, you're not gonna believe it. And I know, and I want you guys to do so. I want you guys to try these things because it's just incredible. Same with the cordyceps. You know, I found myself at the gym being able to lift more because I had that extra energy. I could feel myself just better performance wise. I felt like every breath I took or I take when I'm at the gym and I've taken cordyceps that day, it just feels like my lungs are full. Like everything just feels like it's working the way that it's supposed to work, as opposed to that shaky feeling that you get from pre-workouts. You know, where your face is itchy and your elbows are itchy and you're just like, oh my god, let's go, let's do this, pick this up. You know, cordyceps, they do an opposite thing where I'm calm, picking up the weights. It's not a matter of like having to talk myself into doing it. I just sit down, pick up the weight, do what I gotta do, and you know, I increased my PRs and just felt good. You know, I just felt like I didn't feel like shaky again. Like I said, I know I've already touched base on the lion's mane a little bit from a personal experience, but this coffee can keep me personally very awake. I'm very aware of my surroundings. I'm very focused on what I'm doing throughout the entire day, and I never get the shakes. You know, I've been drinking coffee for a long time, and when I used to make a cup of coffee first thing in the morning, I would feel shaky and I would feel very anxious and all these negative feelings that I don't get anymore because of what the kind of coffee beans together with this lion's mane that I'm taking and the shaga. It's just such a great feeling that I want to share with people because I want to make sure that every single one of you, everybody in my inner circle can feel as good as I do right now. And that's the whole point of my podcast in reality is it's just so I can tell you guys the things that I'm learning, have you guys experience them as well, share my experiences. You know, hopefully you guys can comment your experiences with these things and tell me, you know what, like what you said worked really well for me. And I love to hear that. I have people, friends and family message me, hey, you know, we tried blacking out our room and now my sleep is so much better and I'm never tired and I just feel much greater in the morning, and that just gives me so much happiness inside to know that I was able to reach out to somebody. So that's the whole point of everything, why I'm telling you all of these things, why I'm telling you the benefits of all these mushrooms, and why I'm telling you my personal experience with them, because again, I cannot explain how much they help me. You know, again, I already told you about shaga and my issues that I used to have with swollen like joints and stuff, that now it's all gone. You know, it's all gone away. Like my knees obviously don't feel 100% good because it's a partial tear on my ACLs, but you know, I can walk again. You know, I couldn't do that before, and I have to give that credit to physio and the shaga to help me with the anti-inflammatory side of things without having to take pills. You know, I haven't taken pills for this since the day that I injured myself, and that was even long before I found out about these other natural ways of helping my body and mind. Well, that's it for me today. I hope that you guys could take that information in. Hope that you guys enjoyed it, learn from it, and I hope that you guys get to experience it soon, so you guys can see all the benefits the way that I'm seeing it from my point of view. I really do appreciate you guys listening. It means the world to me. Please take care of yourself. If you guys have any questions as to where you can get these stuff, just shoot me a message on Facebook or whatever it is, and I can help you guys find it. If not, forsigmatic.com is where you gotta go. The show is not sponsored by them by any means, but I cannot deny it. Their product is amazing. It's what I take, it's what I use, and I just love it. I absolutely just love it. So check them out. Definitely check them out. If it's not an option for you guys, just again shoot me a message. I can tell you where you can find them here in town. There's a few places that you can find for Sigmatic stuff if you don't want to buy it online, or other things. They also sell the mushroom extracts from pretty good places here locally. So, anyways, again, thank you very much for listening. Sorry for going on and on my in the end of this episode, but take care of yourself. Have a great week, and I will see you guys or talk to you guys next week.